Now that you understand self-awareness, let's get into the second quadrant of emotional intelligence called self-regulation. All right, now think about what we learned in the self-awareness video, right? Essentially, to practice self-awareness, you have to be the observer of your own psychology, right? You have to be able to step back from your reaction, your ego's identity's reaction, and you got to watch yourself, okay? That's fundamental. That's the first step. But what are you watching, right? And how does that become relevant to what you need to regulate? I think this is pretty cool. So what I want to teach you in this video is essentially that all of us, when we're interacting with another person, when we're experiencing any given situation, any given environment, we are not actually directly experiencing the person or the conversation or the environment. We're actually experiencing everything through a filter. And I call that filter the interpretation filter, okay? The interpretation filter. I'll just put that real big right here, okay? What is the interpretation filter? How do I even spell this? Interpretation filter, right? And why is this relevant? Well, the interpretation filter is the way that our psychology, so let's call this our ego's psychology. I know that's clunky. I know that's not official, but our ego's psychology, like your psychology is different than mine. I grew up different than you, right? Somebody else grew up different than both of us. And so we have come to look at life a certain way. Like maybe we grew up in a tough neighborhood, and so we feel like, wow, what's this guy? Like now we're in a corporate context, or we're in a business context, or we're in a conversation with a client or a customer, and something about them is like irking us. We're like, is this guy coming at me? Like what's happening? And that's not what the person's doing. It's what our environment of our past is telling us to watch out for, right? Or conversely, maybe we grew up and there was like never any issues. And then we come up with something that's kind of a problem. And we're like, well, what the hell is this guy's problem? Like, why do I have to deal with it? You know, maybe we're not bringing enough, power or responsibility or contribution to the situation because we're like, well, they should do it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of making up some examples. The idea is that we come into situations, circumstances, conversations, events, not face to face with those things, but we bring our past into the present and we look at the present through the lens or the prism of our past. And that creates what I call the interpretation filter. Now, what is that filter doing? It's telling us how to interpret or make meaning of what's happening. All right, so let's make sure this is making sense here, right? I'll explain these terms in just one moment. Right, so say that you're, again, I use this example a lot because it's really easy, but let's say you went to the movies, okay, and you're waiting for your buddy to show up. And you're in line, and I know we all buy tickets on the phone now, but just go with my story, okay? So you're in line, right? And you're wanting to buy a couple of tickets, and you're waiting for your buddy to get there, and he said he would be there on time, but he's not there, and you're like, why isn't he texting? What's going on? And so you are interpreting his lack of communication and his lateness as, what the hell is he thinking? Like, did you want to go to the movies or not? Like, why are you standing me up? Like, I want to go get some popcorn and get in there on time. I want to see the beginning. Like, what a jerk. You're judging this other person as a jerk. But you don't realize that this person is just stuck in traffic and their phone died. You're judging not what's actually happening. You're judging your response to it through your interpretation filter, okay? Let's take it a little further. Maybe they're really late and they still haven't communicated and it's not like them. Well, now you're telling yourself a story in your mind. Oh my God, maybe they're in a horrible accident. I'm like, should I call the hospital? Should I not go to the movies? What should I do, And so none of that is happening. They're just late and their phone is dead. But you're telling yourself a story because you're filtering the experience through your interpretation filter. And that interpretation filter is giving you a meaning of what's happening. Similarly, you have a certain point of view. If you look at things from your point of view in any given situation, you're going to have a different interpretation than if you look at it from another person's point of view. Let's say you're in an argument with someone and you're thinking to yourself, why are they so selfish? Like, why can't they get it together and do what I need to have happen? And so when you look at that argument from your point of view, you might judge them as selfish. Maybe you just walked in from work and your partner is like, hey, I need help with this, this, this. And you're thinking, dude, I just got home. I don't have time for this. Why are you coming at me? Meanwhile, if you were to put yourself in their point of view and you realize that the kids just spilled a whole bunch of stuff, they've been on the phone handling things and they need your help, if you put yourself in their point of view, you go like, oh, I totally understand why they're talking to me within 2 seconds of me coming in the door, is they really need help. They're not coming from, oh, I don't respect your day, I don't respect your work, I don't respect anything, and I'm coming at you. They're just saying, I need your help, I love you, but I need your help. You see, our point of view gives us an interpretation of events, okay? So ultimately, the interpretation filter gives us a meaning of what's happening, and it's based on the judgment we have, the story we're telling in our head, and the point of view we're standing in. All of that being said, I know that's a lot of information, and there's a couple other videos I've done on the channel to go into this, and this is discussed at length in the book in chapter, I think, 4 and 6. The interpretation filter is something you want to become aware of. Now, how does this connect? When you practice self-awareness, you become the observer. You're watching your own psychology, okay? The filter is your psychology. The filter is the way your brain has built up your sort of matrix view of reality, right? So when you become aware of your own psychology, that means you've got the power to shift the way information is flowing at you. You've got the power to shift the way you're going to respond, because you become aware of the fact that you're not actually observing the real events, you're actually observing your filter. You're not reacting to the events, you're reacting to your filter. Okay, so self-regulation ultimately means that when you can actually be aware of the way the filter is operating, now you can do something about it. And how do you do something about it? And so this is where the leadership space really gives you some power. And so there's 3 things I want to bring into view here. And I call it the 3 C's. So the 3 C's are the power of choice, the power of context, and the power of contribution. And let me actually break here, and we'll do another video.